knew I wanted to coach. I just didn't know I could like go to school for it. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's how I got connected. It was just I had to do it, and then I just got in and brought value. Really.
Yeah. Right. I mean, here's how I just hearing you talk about that, like if someone like you came, like it seems like you proved you were like a doer and
Yeah.
a go-getter, which I
Yeah.
think any coach is gonna respect that. Like, hey, this guy wants to be involved and he's demonstrating that he wants to be involved. And it seems like that helped you get your foot in the door. And I think that's how kind of most people, his business, Coach Coop, which is dedicated to helping coaches navigate pressure, burnout, life beyond the sidelines. I'm really excited to give him the opportunity to share his story today. Welcome to the Maley Way podcast, Cooper.
Jim, man, I really appreciate you having me. Love what you're doing. Love your message and the platform that you're creating.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, like I thought it was cool when I saw just former coaches. I was like, oh, this is a cool thing. But then when we talked and like, you shared some struggles that you had with mental health, kind of what you were doing with your business. I was like, this is perfect. This would
Yeah.
have been perfect for me, like during my coaching career, which ended about 5 years ago. But it would have been something that I think I would have gravitated towards. So I just encourage you to keep doing it because I think that it could be very helpful. And we'll get into more of that as we go. But before we kind of get into, your business and what you do with that, I kind of want to talk about your story and how you kind of got there. You grew up in Maryland. I think it was Silver Springs, Maryland, I believe. You got involved in basketball and from what you told me, you were an above average basketball player is what I got, but I'm sure you loved it. Like how did basketball kind of shape who you were as a young person.
Basketball was everything.
Yeah.
I was delusional. I thought I was going to the NBA.
don't we
And
don't we all?
and so I didn't realize I wasn't going to the NBA until I didn't have any, I wasn't going D1 or didn't have that many offers. I got a letter from Navy and a letter from Army, but I'm pretty sure they just wanted me to go to war.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
basketball was everything to me growing up. I was a kid that always had a basketball in my hand. Um, Everybody knew me as the basketball player. I went to school so I could play basketball at recess. Um,
Mhm.
Basketball was everything. Taught me how, gave me my friends and my circle. I had a really close group growing up in the rec centers. And had some wonderful coaches growing up. But basketball was everything and really shaped me into who I am. As a basketball player, I was slow, but I was really smart. So I think
Mhm.
that kind of carried over into the coaching aspect. I was always on the court because I could talk
Yeah.
and get people in the right spots.
Mhm.
And just had a okay high school career but still had a passion for the game.
Yeah. So I imagine like, you said you could talk. So would like you have considered yourself like a leader on your team because of that ability to communicate?
For sure. I could not public speak. I hated like getting in front of the class and speaking, but when I was on the court, I was the loudest person on the court. I would
Yeah.
talk to myself, I would talk to refs, I would talk to everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's what I found is like that is contagious. Like when you have a guy who's very vocal, like I feel like that sometimes permeates throughout the whole team. But when you got no one like that, like you're gonna struggle. And you kind of look, were you a point guard?
I was.
You look very similar to my high school point guard who was like the greatest leader that I've ever been around. And I always talk about that. Like he just had those leadership qualities that made our team like we had a really good team. And if it wasn't for him, and he wasn't the top player, but if it wasn't for him, we would not have been as good. And part of like what you're saying, like he was a talker, he was a communicator, he was a guy that knew how to get people going. And I just think that is so important to
I thought you,
the team.
I, I thought you were about to say I looked like a great point guard.
No, no, you looked exactly like this guy who was
that would
like
have
the
been a
best point.
first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you look like this guy was the best point guard I've ever been around. But so All right, so you played high school ball. You had a pretty decent high school career. Did you have any opportunities to like play Division 3 or JUCO, things like that? Or
Um, Honestly, I didn't pursue them. I had a few. I probably could have went D3. I don't think I was good enough to go D2. I think I would have
yeah,
been a really good D1 walk-on.
yeah,
Somebody who would have kept the grades up and been great around the program.
yeah,
But I was tired of running. Once I realized I wasn't going to the NBA, I wasn't about to run for anybody.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, right.
and so, kind of that whole process, my parents weren't basketball parents, so I didn't do AAU until like super late. So I really didn't I didn't do exposure camp. So I didn't really put myself in position to really go after it. And I kind of just went to be a normal student.
Yeah. So how was that? Because I know you said that, you thought you were gonna be going to the NBA, just like, I mean, that's how every young basketball player thinks that. I think I've been talking to a lot of athletes who like, like when they retire, from like I just talked to a guy who retired from professional hockey, and it's like, what do I do now? Like, did you kind of have that feeling because you were basketball, basketball, basketball all the time, and now it's just gone kind of cold turkey. Was that tough for you? Like,
Honestly, going into college, no, but I also chose my school based on one that had the best rec center. Um,
okay, yeah.
so I
So
mean,
you were playing all the time.
I was playing. I mean, I was probably playing my best basketball.
Yeah,
Uh, we pickup was at 5 every day. So I was still getting my basketball fix, and I still ended up surrounding myself with basketball players.
yeah,
Got close with the team, but just I was just playing free, I would say.
yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. Like, I think I told you my story is that I was playing at Northwestern, and I was actually playing pretty well. And then I started dealing with depression, and I just like quit, and I transferred to Holy Cross out on the East Coast. And kind of like what you're saying, like I was still playing basketball all the time. I was
Yeah,
playing at like the field house, like with my buddies. And it's almost like that was the best I was playing was at that time because I was just playing, enjoying it, having fun. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I was still able to get my kind of fix while trying to recover mentally from, dealing with depression and things like that.
yeah,
So you're there at High Point, and I know that's where like you started dealing with some mental health stuff,
yeah.
with anxiety. I think you said panic disorder, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. How did that kind of come about, or was that something that you dealt with before, and it just kind of
Yeah, I think it was something I dealt with all growing up.
okay,
This was before social media and before really everybody understood mental health.
hmm
So I always showed signs of being super anxious. And it kind of just started to really limit me, and I didn't realize that it was limiting me. Um, and Yeah, it kind of just spiraled. So
yeah,
I was my sophomore year. First year went great. Loved the school. Sophomore year, I was on campus. The start of the year, I knew I had a great friend group. I knew where the parties were going to be. I knew where the girls were going to be. I knew
yeah,
what time pickup was going to be. Everything was going well. I had great grades. Finished the first year strong. Had a sense of community, but like walk into class, I would like my chest would just pound out of nowhere.
hmm
Or in class, I would just start sweating.
yeah.
Um,
Like almost like, did you feel like you were having a heart attack? Like that's
yeah, I
what I
felt like
always
I was.
hear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I felt like I was gonna die.
yeah, right.
I also was like afraid to get in cars. I wouldn't go into cars like unless me or my friend were driving. I was like, whenever the teacher says you guys can't leave to go to the bathroom, I would panic.
Yeah,
Um, and so it was just a bunch of stuff on top of it. And then I was hooping one day and like I couldn't catch my breath. Um,
hmm
and I was like, this is weird. I'll just go just sub myself out and go eat in the calf. And I was with all my friends and I couldn't understand what was happening. And I was just spiraling. Um,
yeah,
and then that night I was in the shower and had not my first panic attack, but like a bad panic attack.
hmm
And I thought I was dying. Like you said, I
Yeah.
thought I needed to go to the hospital. Next morning, I went to the school campus med center. They took my blood and everything. I told them what was happening. Um, and they said it was just probably anxiety. And
Yeah.
I was like shook. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong. Like, my life is great. Both my parents, I'm pretty much not going to be in any school debt. I'm in a much better situation than all my friends. I have nothing to be worried about. And so that was super confusing. They said they were going to give me some meds. And that I felt like I was going crazy. Um,
Yeah.
thought I would have to like go into a psych ward. I don't know. I just started spiraling.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of
And
funny that you said like that's what I think is like the hardest part. Like you were talking about like comparing yourself to your friends. And that was like the hardest part for me is like I was comparing things that were going on with like, like I was teaching and coaching in an inner city. Like these kids had some real stuff to deal with. So like I was comparing my situation and being like, well, what do I have to be depressed about or anxious about? Kind of like what you were saying. It almost
spot
caused
on.
me, yeah, it caused me not to get help for a long time because I was doing that. But did you get like you got help, right? Like pretty
Yeah.
much
No,
right
for
when it
sure.
was happening?
Just to touch on what you're saying, I thought I was too blessed to have a problem. Um,
Yeah.
and I was like, there's kids in Africa who are eating.
Hmm.
I have a meal swipe. I can eat as much as I want. Like I
Right.
had friends at home who got into school but couldn't afford it. I just thought I was too blessed to have a problem. And
Yeah.
that was a lot of my problem, still a lot of people's problem today.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I ended up it didn't get any better.
Hmm.
I ended up going home, was put on medical leave. I had to go to therapy for the first time, got put on medicine, and really had to fight to get myself back. Um, and did a ton of work to get myself just back on my feet and just even before getting back on campus, just walking in
Yeah.
stores by myself. I was in a pretty low space.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you're in that low space, like you go to therapy, you have like what were some things that you did to get yourself back? Like were there tools that, therapy gave you to get you back on track? Did the medicine work? Like how did you get back there?
I think it was a combination of a bunch of things.
Okay.
I think one, understanding what actually was happening.
Hmm.
So I have panic disorder, so I was getting random panic attacks. And
Hmm.
because they were random, I associated every place that I had a panic attack and like didn't want them to come up again and didn't know when they were coming up.
Yeah.
So I was always in constant panic. So
Yeah.
realizing that helped, um, as well as generalized anxiety disorder, like just an anxious person. But I
Yeah.
realized how mental it was and how I was creating all these stories.
Hmm.
And I think the biggest thing that therapy helped me with was I get to create those stories. Um,
Yeah.
and so I remember I still have this sheet in my wallet that I carry around, but like instead of all the what ifs, I just wrote out like I am strong or I am okay. I think another thing that helped was realizing that panic or anxiety can't kill you.
Yeah.
Um, for us anxious people out there, it can feel like you're dying. Uh,
Yeah.
but just knowing and naming it and labeling it really helped.
Hmm.
I think a few things that I'll really contribute to overcoming it would just be one, I created my own locker room.
Yeah.
Uh, I got friends. I let them know what was going on. I let teachers know what was going on. Another thing, I practiced every day. So I actually practiced the deep breathing at night. I
Yeah.
actually, put myself in situations where I was in panic before and
Yeah.
kind of went through it. I read what I was supposed to read. I
Yeah.
practiced the putting the spotlight where it needs to be. Uh,
Yeah.
and I was open about it. I think that helped too. Like just
Yeah.
once I started telling people, hey, like I was home because of anxiety. I'm doing better now, but like there's still some off days. Everybody was like, oh, like came to me like the spokesperson, uh,
Yeah.
and I was able to help a ton of people, which ended up just helping me in general.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Like, so you kind of, luckily for you, you seem to embrace that openness pretty early on, right? Like you
Yeah,
got diagnosed and it seems like you embraced it pretty early on. Where like I spent like years like being like ashamed and
yeah,
thinking people were gonna think I was like weak and all this type of stuff. And it was funny, like once I started like talking about it and sharing about like that was the thing that I think like allowed me to be like my permanent solution to my
yeah,
issue where I spent years like just hiding it. And that was the worst thing that I could have done for myself. And then when I did start sharing, I realized, oh man, like I can help some other people too who are dealing
yeah,
with this.
yeah.
And it seems like you kind of got that as well, that aspect.
Yeah, a phrase I love is like make your mess your message, you know.
Yeah.
Just like while you're in it, if you just open up about it, it could help somebody else. And I
Yeah.
think for me is I did not want anybody else to go through what I did alone because it's
Yeah.
lonely.
Yeah.
And it's scary. And the shift wasn't that hard, and just knowing that other people were going through it helped me. So I was like, I don't want anybody to do this alone, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like feeling, obviously, I always say this, like, you don't want, like, I didn't want other people to have dealt with this. Like, I don't want other people to struggle, but when they share that they struggle with me, it helps me know, like, kind of like what you're saying, that you're not alone. Obviously, you don't want them to have gone through that, but just sharing with people, it's helpful. It helps you kind of relate to that person, which can be helpful. And the other thing that you said, I think that is important is that like putting a label to it helps, like, or that it's a thing. Like I was talking to this guy who got the yips, and you know what the yips are
Yeah,
for
yeah,
baseball.
yeah,
Yeah, he got those as a pitcher, and he ended up becoming a major league draft pick. But like he was like, I just needed to know that like this is a thing. And he talked to a therapist, and like he was like, yeah, they basically established like, yeah, this is a thing that happens to me, people. And just like knowing that helped him.
yeah.
Just like having like, hey, this is something that people go through. It was like a sense of relief. Did you get that when like they diagnosed you with like panic disorder? Just like knowing that it was a thing, did that really help you?
Um, at first I was shook about the whole situation.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, now what? Like, am I just gonna live in my parents' basement for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
I think it helps. I think it helps me more now
Yeah.
that I'm able to label it. But I learning about myself and that this is an actual thing. It definitely did help. You know,
Yeah.
and that it could have been just a chemical imbalance, and that
Yeah.
like the medicine might move different things around.
Yeah.
That's something that it wasn't my fault, or that it's just it happens. Um,
Yeah.
I think that helped a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people who have dealt with those panic attacks, and I think it's scary. I think I never officially got, but I think I did have one at one point where like I thought I was having a heart attack, thought I was gonna faint and like that
Yeah,
type of thing. Um, but I never officially like talked with anybody about that. It
yeah,
was more like the depression. But I think depression and panic, like they all kind of can come
very similar.
together at once. All right, so you dealt with that. How long were you out of school for?
Um, I think a month or two.
Okay.
Maybe a month. Around a month. But I went right to therapy. I had 2 to 3 sessions a week.
Mhm.
I was go practicing driving by myself. I was determined. My dad kind of was like, this is just like basketball. You just got to practice and grow these skills, and you'll be. Luckily, I had great support. But yeah, I came back probably within a month.
So well, before we get into like coming back, you mentioned driving because a lot I know a couple people who driving is like a huge thing with regards to panic attacks. Like they really struggle getting in the car and drive. I have two buddies who have dealt with that. And like, was it that you thought you might have one while you were in the car and then you might crash or do whatever? Is that what it kind of was? Or,
For me, mine wasn't so much the car. It actually sounds weird, but it was being without a bathroom. I've done a lot of deep work, and there was a
yeah.
time when I was a young kid. I'm lactose intolerant.
Okay.
Didn't always know that.
Yeah.
There was a time where I was a young kid where I was stuck in a car and could not use the bathroom.
Okay. Yeah.
And that, even as little as it sounds, like that was so scarring to me. Um,
Yeah.
and so I couldn't go anywhere without being going to like needing to go to the bathroom or like
Gotcha.
if there wasn't a bathroom. So like when a teacher would say you can't go to the bathroom during the
Yeah.
test, I would be like I wouldn't even have to go to the bathroom, but I would be like I would just freeze, or like before I would have to do anything, I would go to the bathroom 30 times. And so part of it was the bathroom because there was a few times where like I had to go and I had to pull over somewhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the worst feeling with the countdown going down and it's like it's gonna come out regardless.
Yeah. Right.
But so mine was really off of that, if we're being transparent, I
Yeah.
think, and then just the lack of control. But I did get panic attacks, like I did not want it to happen while I was driving. So that was
Yeah.
another layer of it. But I think the
Yeah.
deeper layer was just like not being close to a bathroom.
Yeah. Well, no, that makes, and yeah, it's funny how like things in your past could can kind of trigger that as you become an older person. So you go back to school, and were you able to overcome these things right away, or were you still having panic attacks as you
And
went
no,
along?
the plan was get back on campus. Um,
Okay.
I kind of remember we created a game plan like we were going into a basketball game.
Yeah.
But it was, let the teachers know you're back on campus, walk around campus with a friend. Like I didn't go to school the first week, I was just there.
Okay.
And go play basketball. So I just had to keep gaining these little wins after little wins, and just stack them just to
Yeah.
build my confidence back up, eating the calf. My parents were like at a hotel right outside of school.
Okay.
So I just was able to slowly build some wins up to get my feet and really just like let every teacher know what was going on. I'll never forget.
Mhm.
I told one teacher was like, "How are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm all right. I'm at like 60%, or I'm at like
Yeah.
70%." And he's like, "Well, that's good. I usually operate between 55 to 60."
Yeah.
And like him just saying that, like just like helped me so much. Like everybody was so supportive,
Yeah.
and like it wasn't that big of a deal to everybody else.
Yeah, it's kind of, that's what's funny is I think people, you hear a lot about all the bad people in the world and all that type of thing. But I think most people are pretty good people. And you think because you see all these examples of maybe the worst people and that stands out, and you think that, people aren't going to accommodate or help you out. And what I've found is like when you're open and honest and transparent, people kind of respect that, and they are willing to help you, and it's something that, in your mind as you're going through it, you think like, oh, people are going to make fun of me, people are going to do this. It doesn't, especially in this day and age. I think people are pretty open at helping you.
Yeah, I mean, people are really attracted to people being real,
Yeah.
and like I'm with you. I don't really believe in bad people, kind of just bad situations
Yeah.
that make people act out of character. But I feel like life is hard for everybody, and it's like
Yeah.
our job to help each other through it. You know?
For sure. Yeah. No, for sure. And so like you get back, and like I'm kind of gonna fast forward a bit, but like you get through college, and then it's like, what do you do next? You got into coaching right away, right? At a high school.
Yeah. So my senior year, I started coaching at a high school. There was
Okay.
one right next to the campus. Luckily, and by the grace of God, it was the number one team in the country. And they had
That works.
their head coach, Keith Gatlin, is a hero of mine. He played at the University of Maryland, so he had some Maryland ties. I went in and just rebounded, did all the dirty work. Um, we had the number one player in the country at the time. We were
Wait,
loaded.
who was that? Who was the?
So my first year, we had Theo Penson, who played at UNC, but he wasn't.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
He and then, but sitting out, we had the number one ranked sophomore, which was Harry Giles, who ended
Oh
up
yeah,
playing at Duke.
yeah.
And then so we won the state championship my first year. Then I asked coach, can I come back? He was like, yeah, would love to have you. So um,
How'd you get in? How'd you get in? Like, what was your
I
like? How
honestly,
did you get in?
I had to, I was in, I had a coaching minor
Okay. Yeah.
and we had to follow a school for like, or a team for like 6 hours.
Okay.
And so I emailed the AD at this at Wesleyan Christian Academy and I said, can I follow a men's basketball team? He was like, yeah, just show up and I'll introduce you to the coach.
Okay.
And then I told the coach like, hey, can I just rebound? Whatever. I just need to get these hours. And then I kept asking for stuff like, hey, we got a game Friday. Can I get on the bus? And he was like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, can I sit on the bench? He was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm really trying to forget these 6 hours. I'm trying to like do this.
Yeah. Right.
I'm around like 10 Division I basketball players in high school and games are packed out and I'm a basketball junkie. So I was like, yeah, I really like this. Uh,
Yeah.
and before I was making my money over the summers training and
Yeah.
having AAU teams and running my own programs back in Maryland. So I kind of knew I wanted to coach. I just didn't know I could like go to school for it. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's how I got connected. It was just I had to do it, and then I just got in and brought value. Really,
Yeah. Right. I mean, here's how I just hearing you talk about that. Like, if someone like you came, like, it seems like you proved you were like a doer and
yeah,
a go getter, which I
yeah,
think any coach is gonna respect that. Like, hey, this guy wants to be involved, and he's demonstrating that he wants to be involved. And it seems like that helped you get your foot in the door, and I think that's how kind of most good coaches start. Like they prove themselves like that.
yeah, yeah,
Which is cool that you got to do it at like a place like that, like you're saying, with all these top level guys.
yeah. And my head coach played overseas for 20 years, so I was learning as much as the players were. He was an elite person with talent. Like he knew how to coach talent, which is a lot harder than people think. So I learned so much from him. And so I was just a sponge and just wanted to make his life easier and then learn from him.
Yeah. Well, so then how did you get into the college game? Like, what was
So
that process like?
we had a bunch of pros that would come work out with our guys. Um,
Okay.
and we had one guy overseas who got hurt overseas, so he came back and was rehabbing
Okay.
and was working with our staying in shape with our guys. And he asked me, "Would you ever do D2?"
Hmm.
Because his former coach was looking, and I said, "Yeah, let's."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I drove down to South Carolina, had an interview at a school called Lander University,
Hmm.
did well on the interview, and then got the job. It was late, um, and so got the job and was on campus like a few weeks later.
Nice. So how long were you there? Were you there?
So there, I was there for 2 weeks, or 2 weeks. I was there for 2 years.
Yeah. Okay.
My coach got let go, but he resigned before he got let go. So going into my second year, they told him it was his last year, and he didn't tell anybody, and it just kind of kept eating at him, and then he kind of stepped away mid-year, and
Oh,
then
wow.
the school went a different direction, and I was kind of stuck, and ended up landing at probably the best spot I could have in Lincoln Memorial University.
Oh, nice. So, all right. So what level was that? Lincoln Memorial? Is that
That's an elite Division II. It's like a
gotcha?
Division II powerhouse. Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay. And where's that?
that's in Tennessee.
Okay. Okay. I knew I had heard of that, but I couldn't remember exactly where it was. So you're there, like, I know people think like college coaching is it's like a it's difficult, like, especially like the recruiting aspect, like it is nonstop. Like I remember like when I was coaching like AAU teams and we'd be like the month of whatever was it, July, I think at the time. And like those guys would just be sitting there for hours and like and then you gotta like kiss up to like kids and like be calling them on the phone. Like that's like that part of it. And then
Yeah,
you get
yeah,
like the actual coaching side of it too. Like it is like nonstop. Like what
yeah.
were your like hours like at times?
All hours. I like they're like physically in the office 12 hours a day, but then at home doing work for the program.
Yeah,
I mean, you were everything. You're an Uber driver, you're a therapist, you're a counselor, you're uh, a teacher, you're a recruiter, you're a salesman, you're a travel agent. I mean, you have so many jobs, and you're always on call. But you work 7 days a week. You're and the whole time you're working is to try to keep everything afloat and keep everything going the right way, and then try to gain a competitive advantage. So
yeah,
it's a lot of outworking ghosts and um, a lot of trying to prove yourself, especially moving up the ranks, um,
yeah,
and bring as much value as you can.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's and kind of like what you're saying too, like even when you're not working, you're working. Like I always think I had a family and a bunch of kids and like even when I was there, I wasn't there. Like
Yeah,
I'm in my head thinking of like the next game or like thinking of a set that I'm gonna try to run or how we're gonna beat that team. And like you're even when you're physically present, like you're not always there.
yeah, no,
And
for
I
sure.
yeah,
Or is this player doing the right things right now, or
yeah,
going back with the argument you just got into with the player? Did I handle it right? Or petty drama that's going on between two teammates? Like, are they going to get out their own way? Or
yeah,
even like just eating dinner, like you're saying, and your boss calls and you've got to pick it up, and
yeah,
your significant other's like, oh,
yeah, yeah,
it's a lot. It's nonstop, but you got to pick it up.
yeah, yeah. No, and yeah, it's just funny. Like I know like that. Now I know it at the high school level, but I also know that like I think that whole recruiting aspect just you see a lot of these college guys now are going to like the NFL and football. Like they're trying to go to the NBA because it's professional, but I think it's a little bit easier lifestyle as like a professional coach as opposed to the college. It's a nonstop grind.
Yeah, I think the NFL probably. I think the
Yeah.
NBA, the travel schedule is crazy.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So I think a lot of guys, but either way, it's a lot,
Yeah.
whatever level. But yeah, no, it's a lot, and especially when you want to be good and you're a competitor and you're hard on yourself, and
Yeah.
you know,
One of the things I think that I had a problem with is sometimes like I would try like sometimes I think I overworked myself to maybe prove that I was prepared and like I knew everything and like I knew everything about the other team, but like really that it doesn't matter necessarily what I know. It's about what like I can get the players to know. And it's almost like I felt like I at times, and I think a lot of coaches do this where you almost overwork yourself just to like as like prove that like you know what you're doing and that you where it's not necessarily sustainable over a long period of time.
no,
Did you
for
ever feel
sure.
like guys did that?
I work with people who do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I did that myself. It's a lot of the times coaches overwork for a sense of control.
Hmm.
Um, like I worked with a coach who watched every game the other team played when he only
Yeah,
needed to watch the last two, or
yeah,
went and watched out of bounds plays from 2016. Like he was doing this out of a sense of control,
yeah,
but coaches really have little control. Um,
yeah.
and I feel like your presence is more important than your control.
Yeah.
And so really teaching people how to trust their work. You do have to put in enough work to be prepared and feel confident. But really getting the team to be in a great space is like the most important.
Yeah.
But I totally know what you're talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
it's something that a lot of coaches battle. It's something that it's a common mindset. Like this is how this one coach does it. We all have to sit and grind.
Yeah.
And I think each coach just needs to figure out what works for them, you know, to get them prepared and ready for game day.
Yeah. Well, I saw something on that, what's his name? The Indiana football coach, Kurt
Oh yeah, yeah,
Signetti. I saw him talking and he was basically like, hey, I don't like wasting people's time. He's like, we are going to practice for an hour and a half. And my coaches, when you get your work done, you go home to your family. And he's like, I don't care how you do it, get it done and get home to your family. And he was talking like that's why a lot of his coaches have kind of stuck with him over the
yeah,
years. And I do think that there's value if you can get in that mindset as opposed to trying to, basically burn yourself out. You know, like with what we were talking about, I think there's value to that if you can figure out how to do that. It's
yeah.
just it's tough.
I think we got to realize like how we got in. I got in from working so hard and just doing all the grunt work,
Mhm.
and then I became a GA and an assistant coach, and I kept that same mindset. But to keep going up, you have to change. Like how you got here is not how you get there. So
Yeah.
things have to shift. You can't.
Yeah.
You have to adapt while you move up and while you get older. Values change. Circumstances around you change, and like it's not sustainable to rely on your 20-year-old habits.
Yeah.
You gotta start taking care. You're not as youthful.
Yeah, right.
So no, but it's definitely a like a framework and just a mindset about it.
Yeah. And the other thing that I thought that I did wrong coaching is like you're always constantly trying to like get better and find the next thing. But at some point, like I think I kept trying to like find other stuff when I should have been like, hey, this is what I do well. I'm gonna stick with this. Like I'll adjust things, but like I don't need to find the next great like offense and try to do it. Like, hey, this works for me. I teach it well. I do it well. I almost think that like some coaches like you're trying to be too much of a sponge and learn from you're getting pulled in all these different directions like where you need to stick with what works for you. Like do you see that in the coaches you work with?
Yeah, I mean, all coaches are striving to get better, um,
Yeah.
and there's a fine balance with that. I think that's why the work I do is very special, um,
Yeah.
because it's one-on-one with coaches. It's letting them hear themselves. Um, Everybody wants information, but like we should all be like healed through social media. There's enough information out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to look within and make the changes in there.
Yeah. No, exactly. And well, how did I guess the other thing I wanted to ask you with regards to the mental health side, like, was that something, did you share your past with your players? And if you did, how do you think that helped your relationship with those guys?
Yeah, for sure. I'm always open.
Okay.
It's not like an identity. Like I have um, like unattached to anxiety. A part of me getting through it was not thinking this is who I am, but
Yeah.
letting people know that like it comes up. We always would do team exercises before the season starts, where you get in front of the team and say, three H's: hero, highlight, and hardship, and
Mhm.
or talk about a time that was tough for you. I always bring that up. It's always been the hardest thing for me. And just the players seeing that you're human helps them so much. So
Mhm.
everybody would come to me for anything. I
Yeah.
don't feel like myself or I'm struggling here. Um, oh, I come from a family of social workers. My mom has her own practice, and then my dad works towards social impact. So it's in my blood to like be
Yeah.
part of it. Um,
Mhm.
and I think I created a safe enough energy for people to come talk to me.
Yeah.
And I love that part more than I love the basketball part actually.
Yeah.
And that's why I stepped out, just because I realized like my passion was for helping people chase their dreams, and go through the ups and downs of it.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems like that's kind of what you're doing with like, is that part of your business too? Is like the mental health aspect for coaches, like, and being able to talk them through it beyond just like the X's and O's and
Yeah,
different things like that.
yeah,
Like, are you dealing a lot with that? Because I think there's a great space for someone like you because it's hard for those guys who may be dealing with stuff. You don't really have someone to go to above you. Like, you can't really go and say like, "Hey, I'm struggling with this,"
yeah.
to your athletic director. I mean, there's rare
No, you
circumstances where
can't.
you yeah,
You
right.
can't.
Yeah, right.
No, I. That's exactly why I created it. So yes, there is some mental aspects to it.
Mhm.
It's not therapy, but it does provide a ton of relief.
Yeah.
Um, but I was a college coach who was struggling. I tried to go to therapy throughout coaching,
Mhm.
but a therapist didn't understand what a recruiting period was. And I felt like
Yeah.
I would spend the first 45 minutes explaining why I had to go one weekend or why I have to pick up the phone for my head coach. So
Mhm.
coaches had nowhere to go. I had nowhere to go. I didn't want to go to my head coach, who was a close friend of mine, because I didn't want him to worry about me.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to my tree because my head coach is a part of the tree as well.
Yeah.
And so, um, and then you definitely can't go to admin. As a coach, you can't say, "Hey, I'm really struggling on my confidence as a leader, and I have big issues in the team. What should I do?" Like,
Yeah.
so coaches have nowhere to go.
Mhm.
So I created something for them to go to speak freely, give them a space to really think out loud. But it's part support, part strategy. So I still think like a coach.
Yeah.
Um, and so while everybody leaves each session feeling lighter, stress goes down, it's really to help bring out the best in the coach and perform at a
Mhm.
high level.
Yeah.
There's so much around the athletes performing around a high level, but nothing for the people who have more of an impact on winning.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to like so your business that you started, is there other people doing this? Like I've really never heard of this. Like I've never
Yeah,
heard of
yeah,
this. Are
yeah.
there other people doing it?
There's It's starting. I'll say that
Okay.
there are some other people. I have some friends who are doing it as well. Mine's a little different than everybody
Yeah.
else's, but
Yeah.
it's just like executive coaching.
Yeah.
But so it's coaching for coaches,
Yeah.
and it's I did it just to support at first, but it's actually really impacting winning.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of fun, and it's just so needed. Coaches don't have a place to go, and coaches are people too. Coaches have insecurities. Coaches get nervous before games, and those impact winning.
Yeah.
And so helping coaches take care of themselves first, teach them different ways to work with others, teach them how to not carry it home,
Yeah.
teach them how to zoom out. We're losing too
Yeah.
many good coaches at all levels,
Yeah. Right.
and a lot of it is ourselves. We make the game harder than it actually is.
Yeah.
And so teaching people how to get out their own way.
Yeah. I mean, I think of it from like the high school level, like how things are going. I don't see like those 35-year veterans happening anymore.
No,
Like I just can't see it like where like, there were like legends who coached in Illinois where I live for like 35, 40 years. I just don't see it happening unless things change. And I
yeah,
think like what you're doing is something that could, give guys a longer shelf life in that
yeah,
field, which I think is yeah, it's awesome, like what you're doing.
yeah. I appreciate it. It definitely.
you
You
when
said
I
what?
was no, I'm joking. I said, where were you when I was coaching?
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
But no, it's something that coaches have to be proactive about. No one's coming to
Yeah.
save the coaches. The
Yeah.
NCAA isn't going to save the coaches. No state association is coming to save the coaches. Coaches got to do it on their own. You know, it's up to the coach to take care of themselves and understand it. It impacts everything else.
Well, like what you were saying too, I think, which is huge, is like the relatability factor. And I think that's what helps me when like I talk to kids about mental health and depression. Like the fact that I've gone through it, I think it gets their ear a little bit more. And the same thing with you, like what you were saying, like it's hard to explain to a therapist the recruiting period. It's hard to explain like the pressure from maybe your head coach or from parents or things like that. It's hard to explain that to someone who's
Yeah.
never gone. They might be like, "Oh, it's just sports. It's just basketball. Like who cares?"
No, I
Where
know what it's
yeah,
like to lose a recruit after you put 6 months of work in and they choose a terrible situation over yours. I know what it's like to lose after a game, and
yeah.
sit on the bus and eat a cold, terrible post-game meal. And
Yeah,
I know what it's like to be to be in a hotel for a holiday or missing family events. I
yeah,
know what it's like to yeah, I know what it's like. I've walked it. I understand it. And I also figured out how to like shift out of it too, and
yeah.
really help coaches in those situations.
Well, like, what are some things that like are your go-to things that you might I don't want to give away all your secrets, but what are like
No,
some things that you talk to coaches about, like to maybe get them to kind of put the brakes on a little bit, or maybe get them, thinking a different way? Like, what are some things that you do?
I ask powerful questions, simple
Mm,
questions that help shift their perspective. And it could be as simple as, okay, this is going wrong. What's going right? And they're like,
yeah,
well, actually, I was talking to a coach today. She was like, she was going off. Pitchers had drama. They're back in a better space. People are mad they're not playing. I was like, well, what's going well? And
yeah,
just so I could get the whole story. She was like, well,
yeah,
pitchers ERA was at a 7 and now it's at a 2.5. So like that's drastically improving. We actually played a lot better so just helping coaches think differently. You're
yeah,
surrounded and you're so tunnel vision and you're around the same coaches or your assistants are all thinking the same way. So I like to ask different questions to just change perspective a little bit and get the whole picture.
yeah,
As far as individual tools and different things like that, it really depends on the person. From what I went through, I had to create a ton of different ways to cope and to survive, and I became really good at doing different things. So for a softball coach, it could be walk the warning track before you leave and leave practice, and just walk the warning track. And as soon as you're done, you get in your car and practice is behind you.
yeah,
It could be brushing your teeth before you check your phone. Like
yeah,
before you answer all the emails and text all the recruits, brush your teeth. So it's very personalized. I had a coach who, after games, would just spiral. And then I was like, so what's your post game routine? And he ended up watching the whole game, taking notes, and starting the next 15 minutes of the next opponent. And
yeah,
it wasn't helping him.
yeah,
It just brought more fears of, oh, how are we going to, and so it was just like figuring out different things for each coach. Is huge. I know that doesn't answer your question. I think one powerful tool that I always ask is just where are you not giving yourself enough credit?
yeah,
Because we are so hard on ourselves,
for
uh,
sure.
and really just count. I really force coaches to count their wins, whether they like it or not,
Yeah,
because it's so easy to get zoomed in. I think the number one thing coaches need is perspective.
yeah. Well, and like you said too, I think it probably just gives them some relief after talking to like even like just talking to even if you just like were just there and didn't even like have those questions to reframe things, just the fact of them talking to someone who they know gets it, I have to imagine
Yeah,
is helpful. Like, I just
Yeah.
have to imagine, like, it just gives you that sense of relief that you
Yeah.
can,
I mean, like we said earlier, you don't have anywhere to go. So everything's
yeah,
spinning in your head and you're creating all these stories and you're tired, you're not eating well, you're not exercising, you have everything is swirling in your head and you have nowhere to put it. Um,
yeah,
and so, yeah, just getting it out helps a lot. A lot of people say, oh, just hearing myself. So, yeah, the space itself is,
yeah. No, I mean, I really like that the concept of what you're doing. And I just think about back when I was coaching, like it would have been helpful, like to have, and like you had other coaches that you could maybe talk to and things like that, but not someone that you could like maybe really get into it with.
yeah.
Um,
I was
so that,
talking, I'm
yeah,
not to cut you off, but I was talking to a golf coach who I was working with, really successful golf coach. And he was just saying, I was like, what's going well? What do you like about this? He's like, honestly, like, our system is backwards. Like every coach needs a coach. Like
mhm,
when I was an amateur, I had a coach. When I was in college, I had a coach. When I was a GA, I had two coaches I looked up to. When I was an assistant coach, I had a head coach. And then once I became a head coach and everything is new and I have more things to learn on the fly, I'm by myself. And that's when
yeah,
the pressure is the highest. And, you know, why stop there?
yeah. No, that makes perfect. And so that's the other thing I wanted to ask you too, because I've heard you mention golf. I heard you mention softball. So when you started this, did you have that in mind to expand to different types of coaches, different sports, or were you always, or were like, did you start out just basketball?
Um, No, I was open to everybody.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I actually like working with other sports that I have no clue about because I don't get any bias of what you should do, what you shouldn't do. I feel like each coach, like I let them handle their sport. They put their 10,000 hours in golf or in softball or
Yeah.
basketball. Like coaches don't need any more information on that. But I help them with making sure they're in a great space, making sure they're leading to their maximum potential, making sure they're bringing out the best in others. And those, you can do that across any sport, you know.
Yeah.
And so I actually love working with coaches that aren't in basketball. I do love basketball too, because
Yeah.
I understand the terminology, and then it's been cool. I've been able to help golf coaches or softball coaches with this is what we did in basketball. How would that apply here?
Yeah.
Or yeah, different things like that. So it's been able to luckily at basketball, like in my career, I won at a really, really high level in
Yeah.
college.
Mhm.
Um, and so winning is the same across the board.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's hard, but the biggest opponent in winning is human nature and complacency and jealousy and all those things. So helping people get through that is universal.
Yeah. So, like, where do you see, like, I guess, where do you see this going? Before I get into where do you see this is going, I think the cool thing about what, this is for a potential business is it's kind of like similar to what I'm doing. Like, yes, there is a business to it, but it's also like you're doing something pretty good. Like, you're doing
Yeah.
something good to help people. So it's like, to me, it's a perfect business model because like the more you help people, the more successful like you are going to be. And I think it's probably good for like for me, it's good for my mental health knowing that I'm helping people. And it's like kind of like you're almost taking your mother, I think you said, was in social work, and your dad was similar. Like you're taking that aspect and applying it to a business. I think to me that's a perfect model
Yeah, no,
for a lot of different things.
it helps when you're building a business
Yeah,
that is the focus because building is hard.
yeah,
Any business, and it's kind of like being a first time head coach. You have no clue what you're doing. You're hard on yourself. You want things to come a lot sooner. And so just the fact that I was able to have success stories and and work with coaches who like this changed my life, or see teams completely shift after working with a coach, really helped me early on in the build, like keep going,
Yeah.
because it is needed and it is impacting people.
Yeah.
So that's why I like the business thing, because the business model, because it helped me early on, like keep going. Like, there's a bigger purpose to this. Like, just keep your feet moving.
Yeah. No, okay, so the next question I was gonna ask is like, where do you see this kind of going? Like, do you see yourself like kind of having other guys like you, like working under you to do like similar things that you're doing? Is that where you kind of see this headed, or what's the direction?
Yeah, ultimately, I'm trying to save the world through coaches. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know yet if it's get other people around me. I don't know if it's a trust issue, or I just want anything with my name on it. I want it to be a really good product.
Right.
I'm really focused on my clients and getting them to where they need to be, and being there for them. I could see maybe eventually working with a whole athletic department and just being there just for the coaches. So I don't know yet.
Like, could you see yourself? Because I could see that being like a position at a school,
Yeah,
like at a big university, like,
yeah.
hey, this is our guy for the coaches.
My only fear with that, and I thought about going that route, is I don't want to be seen as someone that the school is paying for that I can't
Yeah,
be completely open with.
that
Uh,
makes sense. Yep.
and so I like the independent contract situation, just because like it doesn't matter to me what happens. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
impact my life. I want it to go well, but like it doesn't do me any justice to leak any information, or like that doesn't help my business.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I just want to help as many coaches as I can,
Yeah.
and I want to change. Like, I want us to start helping the helpers. Like in basketball, like we got to
Yeah.
help
Help
the
the
helpers.
helper. Yeah.
So it's like we gotta pour more into these coaches. We gotta stop leaving them on an island. There has to be a better system. So maybe overall creating a system that we start at the younger ages. Yeah, I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
know as a business person, you're supposed to be thinking like that, but I really just think about impacting those in front of me right now.
Yeah. No, I mean it's cool. I can see how that could be. I mean, I see the business. I see that vision. I understand that. I'm thinking about it from like the mental health side of things. Like you can really, I think, make that difference in those people, but also like for yourself. Like I think it's, knowing that you are doing something that can help people. I think
Yeah,
that's just going to give you like a great purpose. I think you said it, purpose.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think you have a purpose, and sometimes that's more valuable than any type of money that you could get from a business, is having that purpose, which it
yeah,
seems like you've got, which
yeah,
is pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. A purpose and a calling. Like, I'm actually really good at what I do, uh,
Yeah.
and able to listen to coaches and hear different themes, and help them, be at their best. So it's a calling, a purpose. It's a passion. It's a bunch of things in one.
Yeah. Okay, so last thing is like, I guess where can people find you? Like if there's people listening, because I do have coaches who I know listen to this and
Yeah,
who maybe watch it, who I used to work with or just coached against.
yeah,
Um, where could they find you, or where could they reach out to you and maybe,
yeah.
use your services?
So you can go to my website, cooperniemand.com,
Okay.
COOPERNEIMAND,
Okay.
.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not as active on LinkedIn, um, but Cooper Neiman on LinkedIn. And then on Instagram, it's Coach Coop __. And I've started to post a lot there. So, but any coach, if you want to reach out, go through my website, or you can email me at Coach Coop at cooperneiman.com. But please reach out. You don't need to be on an island yourself. Whatever you're going through is 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 common, but the answer is very unique. and I would love to help anybody through it. Coaches are the most impactful and important people in the world. Um, all of my heroes have been coaches and deserve to enjoy this game as much as the players do.
Yeah, no, they seriously, I think I could talk to you. I might have you in the future again
Do
because
it
I really think this is a great idea. Like really think it's a great idea. And like I said, I'm not really joke. I mean, I am joking, but like it would have been nice to have this
for
when I
sure.
was coaching because there were times where I struggled and I'm sure I got burned out. I'm sure the stress got to me, and that probably caused some of my depression. And if I would have had like someone, like you said, beyond just maybe a therapist or a psychiatrist, but someone who knew like those pressures that I was actually under, I think that could have been helpful. So
Yeah,
kudos to you. I think it's a great idea, and I
yeah.
think it
No,
could be really
it's
beneficial.
I'm glad you could have used it. I could have used it. I literally
Yeah.
asked this off like who could I have used?
Yeah, right.
And it's taken off and it's helping a lot of coaches. And I'm enjoying it.
Well, it's awesome. Well, thank you, Cooper. I really like appreciate you coming on. I end every podcast with this. Um, Thank you for sharing your story because by sharing your story, not only can you help others, but you end up helping yourself because that's the Maley way. Thank you.